Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really happy to be here. And we're here to celebrate an occasion where two individuals. To start this off, I'd like Kevin, our chaplain, please open us in prayer.
Please uncover. We bow our heads. Almighty God, we ask your blessing upon the work of the American Legion and the Department of West Virginia. As our purpose is to help our fellow citizens, and especially those who have served this nation with honor in time of conflict, and to promote all that serves well our communities and our state and nation, so we pray that you will enlighten our minds with a clear vision of your will for us. Inspire our determination to follow that vision of your will in our deliberations, and strengthen our hands in all our undertakings. May the programs developed here be a source of strength in our community, that our work bear fruit worthy of our ideals and aspirations under your guidance and in all that is holy. Amen. Amen.
Please remain uncovered. Everybody that can stand, would you please stand? If we have colors.
It's also the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing.
Okay, we're having a technical difficulty.
All right, and just have a seat, please. Thank you. At this point, for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Les Shreve, Commander of Frank B. Bartlett Post 7, and proud to be so. And to conduct this ceremony this morning, I've asked my son, Les II, to host this ceremony as we go through it. So Les, if you'll take over.
Thank you. I'm going to change mics. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I thought the draft was over, but I see that rank continues to go once you're even out of the Air Force. When Dad says, you know, come and post, he really means I need you down there now. So, but I'm happy to be here. The Frank B. Bartlett Post 7 and Auxiliary Unit 7 of the American Legion would like to welcome you here today to this open house. On this day, we will remember, reflect, honor, and pay tribute to the veterans and those who provide us protective services, who served and are still serving our great nation of the United States of America. The month of September is a busy month for the American Legion. We take our responsibilities seriously and consider it our duty to remind our community of the patriotic holidays. September 11, 2012 is Patriots Day. September 16, 2012 is the 93rd anniversary of the American Legion. And on September 21st is the POW MIA Recognition Day. We are also celebrating with two of our members who have completed 50 years of continuous service with the American Legion. This open house is our way of what we call rejuvenating the spirit of Americanism within our community. As veterans and members of the American Legion family, it's what we do. We want to share with you who we are and what we do as a veterans organization. As I call your name, could you please stand? We'd like to recognize guests of honor we have with us today. First, Conrad St. Clair, American Legion member, and his family. And he's one of the ones celebrating today the 50 years. Eugene Suter, American Legion member and family. Any veterans that are present, would you please stand? Okay. The Honorable Mayor Kenny Davison's already standing back there. The Honorable Upshur County Commissioners Donnie Tenney, Creed Fletcher, and J.C. Rafferty. Are they here today? Okay. And the Honorable Peggy Donaldson Smith House of the Delegates of West Virginia. How you doing? Thank you. Any veteran who served on active duty in the Navy or the Army and then an additional 50 long whole years with the American Legion and has faithfully, continuously fulfilled his duty, would you stand? No one? 50 years? Navy?
Yes, sir.
They were, so we know that. At this time, I'd like to bring up Delegate Peggy Smith to say just a few words. Peggy?
Thank you, Mr. Shreve and Commander Shreve. I want to welcome you here on behalf of the West Virginia House of Delegates Veteran Affairs Committee, on which I serve, and the West Virginia House of Delegates Homeland Security Committee. I serve as Vice Chair of that committee. It's an honor to be here. I also want to introduce my husband, Michael Clay Smith, my law partner, a member of the American Legion Post 166 in Jane Lew, and a member of the Marine Corps League. We have a son who's a graduate of the Naval Academy, a grandson who will graduate in May from West Point, another grandson who's Marine. My dad's a veteran. We're a veteran family, and I'm honored to be here. In the past year, it was indeed an honor to work with Commander Shreve and many of you to get patriotism placed into the curriculum of every grade in West Virginia schools. It was also a pleasure to have many of you in Charleston for Veterans Visibility Day, which is held every year at the legislature. I encourage you to come. If you haven't been there, it's quite a day. It's a wonderful event, and it's an honor to be there with you on that day. I just want to tell you that I'm here for you. If I can ever do anything for you, please call me. I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we'd like to present once again two of Frank B. Bartlett Post number 7 members, Mr. Conrad St. Clair and Mr. Eugene Suter. Would you please come forward right here? Gentlemen, we want to thank you for your service as a veteran and as a member of the American Legion and your service to our community. Either place is fine. Yeah, just so Dad can get to it. Mr. St. Clair, Mr. Suter, after this year, your membership dues with the American Legion will be taken care of by the Post. You no longer need to send a check in. Okay. At this time, Commander Shreve is going to present certificates and plaques to each member. I'm going to briefly read these just so you know what they say. The certificates are very nice. And they say, be it known that proper, wow, I did not look at that word, attestation?
Attestation.
Thank you. Has been provided to the effect that Conrad St. Clair has been a member in good standing of the American Legion continuously for the period of 50 years. And be it further known that such record of consistent loyalty to the American Legion merits the honor of being cited as an outstanding contributor to the accomplishment of the programs of the American Legion. The plaques that they will receive say, Certificate of Continuous Membership, issued in grateful appreciation for faithful and dedicated allegiance to the ideals of the American Legion. Be it known that Conrad St. Clair, a longtime and dedicated member of the American Legion Post 7, Department of West Virginia, has been certified to have been a member in good standing continuously for 50 years. And it be it further known that such record of consistent loyalty to the American Legion merits the honor of being cited as an outstanding contributor to the programs of the American Legion. In witness whereof this testimony of personal gratitude is given under the hand of the National Commander and duly attested by the National Adjutant and Post Officer this 15th day of March 2012. They will also receive, oh, it looks like they received their dues back, and a little pin that they can wear. So I will present these to Commander Street and he can present them out.
All right. Turn around here so we can. It's with great honor that I present you 50 years, and I know how you feel about the veterans and the American Legion of VFW. I know how you feel about those organizations. Our association, over the last 5 or 6 years, has proven to me that they don't come any better than you.
Thanks.
Come on over this way, Eugene, so they can get their pictures. Your path and my path never crossed on all these years, which may have been a good thing. Since you were sheriff for so many years and magistrate for so many years. The service that you've provided to your country and the service that you've provided afterwards is outstanding. It's with a great honor that I present this 50-year certificate to you, Eugene Suter.
Thank you.
Everybody got what they want.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Patriots Day is celebrated on the 11th of September. To demonstrate our support of the U.S. Armed Forces and our total commitment as Americans to defeat terrorism once and forever, today we honor the victims of September 11, 2001, so the memories of the victims do not fade. We will never forget 9/11/01. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. The American Legion is celebrating their 93rd anniversary on the 16th of September. We all owe an enormous debt to the fallen men and women who died defending this great country. This debt was very much on the minds of the American Legion founders when they gathered in Paris just a few months after the end of World War I. They did not form the organization out of self-interest. They did it to serve their comrades, their communities, and their country. The bedrock of their existence would revolve around 4 pillars: a strong national defense, Americanism, support for veterans, and mentoring of our youth. Today, the American Legion doesn't just recite these pillars, we live them for God and country. Happy 93rd anniversary, American Legion Post 7. The 21st of September is POW MIA Remembrance Day. At this time, members of the Auxiliary Unit 7 will conduct a remembrance service in memory of all prisoners of war and missing in action veterans. Loretta Dawson and Mary Albaugh will present this service in their honor. Thank you for your attention.
Those who have served and those currently serving in the uniformed service of the United States are ever mindful that the sweetness of enduring peace has always been tainted by the bitterness of personal sacrifice. We are compelled to never forget while we enjoy our daily pleasures. There are others who have endured and may still be enduring the agonies of pain, deprivation, and imprisonment. Before we begin our activities, we pause to recognize our POWs and MIAs.
We call upon your attention to this small table, which occupies a place of dignity and honor. It is set for 1, symbolizing the fact that members of our armed forces are missing from our ranks. They are referred to as POWs and MIAs.
We call them comrades. They are unable to be with their loved ones and family, so we join together to pay tribute to them and to bear witness to their continued absence.
The table is small, symbolizing the frailty of one prisoner alone against his or her suppressors.
The tablecloth is white, symbolic of the purity of their intentions to respond to their country's call to arms.
The single rose in the vase signifies the blood they may have shed in sacrifice to ensure the freedom of our beloved United States of America. This rose also reminds us of the family and friends of our missing comrades who keep faith while awaiting their return.
The red ribbon on the vase represents the red ribbons worn on the lapels of thousands who demand, with unyielding determination, a proper account of our comrades who are not among us.
A slice of lemon on the plate reminds us of their bitter fate.
The salt sprinkled on the plate reminds us of the countless fallen tears of families as they wait.
The glass is inverted. They cannot toast with us at this time.
The chair is empty. They're not here.
The candle is reminiscent of the light of hope, which lives in our hearts to illuminate their way home, away from their captors, to the open arms of a grateful nation.
The American flag reminds that many of them may never return and have paid the supreme sacrifice to ensure our freedom.
Let us pray to the Supreme Commander that all of our comrades will soon be back within our ranks.
Let us remember and never forget their sacrifice. May God forever watch over them and protect them and their families.
It often takes a veteran to remind the public of sacrifices those in uniform and their families continue to make. The American Legion is a central player in patriotic and troop support events held in hundreds of communities across our great nation each year. We are there when natural disasters hit. The American Legion works with the Department of Defense to provide help to those who need to reestablish their lives when they come home. We supported the construction of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial with our words and our wallets, raising $1 million in 1982, more than any other organization. We were major fundraisers for the National World War II and Korean War memorials and formed a Persian Gulf Task Force to enhance our service to Gulf War veterans. The American Legion serves the youth of America with outstanding programs such as the American Legion Baseball, Junior Shooting Sports, Boys State, Boys Nation, and the High School Oratorical Contest. The American Legion has supported the Boy Scouts of America since 1919, and today, along with the American Legion Auxiliary and Sons of the American Legion Charters, more than 2,600 scouting units comprised of nearly 70,000 young men and women are being helped by the American Legion. The American Legion does these things not because it can, but it's because of who we are. We have a friend of ours with us today who has traveled here from a period back in time. He joins us today to remind us of our forefathers who founded our country and to remind us that as Americans, our heritage and history are something to be proud of. Please help me welcome Dr. Michael T. George, President and CEO of Patriot History, inspiring tomorrow's leaders through America's past. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Michael George.
You know, it's an honor to be here amongst people that have given their hearts, their minds, their lives. And so as we have remembrance, I would like us to step back in time and think about the founding of our country. The first 4 days of July of 1776 was a monumental time, you might say, to the United States of America. And so today we're going to look back at that time through the eyes of a person that would have been there, our second President of the United States, John Adams. I thank you for allowing me to be here today. July 1st was going to be a most momentous day, we had basically assigned it the greatest debate of all. John Hancock gavelled the Second Continental Congress into action that morning, and for 9 hours we would debate the idea of declaring independence. The skies began to open up with rain, and for those 9 hours it poured it down and lightning flashed across the darkened sky. Just 3 weeks earlier, Richard Henry Lee of Virginia had put forth the motion that these United Colonies ought to be free and independent states, and that we should be absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown. And today, July 1st, we would be debating that very topic. John Dickinson of Pennsylvania stood before us. He had brought forth the Olive Branch Petition, and he argued that we colonies were no match for the military might of the British Empire, and that we were unprepared for war. And after Dickinson's speech, the room was silent. No one stood to give a rebuttal. And as I watched, I could take it no more. And I stood and I began to share with you the words that I shared with the delegates that day. I said, gentlemen, sink or swim, live or die, survive or perish, I give my hand and my heart to this vote. It is true, indeed, in the beginning we aimed not at independence, but there is a divinity that shapes our ends. The injustice of England has delivered us to arms. And independence now is within our grasp. All we need to do is reach out and take it. And it will be ours. Why then should we defer the declaration? Is any man here so weak now to think that we can have reconciliation with England? If we postpone this declaration for independence, do we mean to give up the war? Do we mean to submit and consent to the ground, be ground to powder, and have our country and its rights trodden in the dust? I know we do not mean to submit. We shall never submit. The war then, it must go on. We must fight it through. And if the war must go on, why then should we defer declaring independence? That measure will strengthen us. And if we fail, it can be no worse for us. But we will not fail. The cause will raise up armies. The cause will raise up navies. And the people, if we are true to them, they will carry us. They will carry themselves gloriously through this struggle. I care not how fickle people may seem, but I know the people of these colonies. And I know their resistance to British aggression is strong and firmly planted within their hearts. And gentlemen, it cannot be eradicated. Sir, this Declaration of Independence, it will increase courage. And instead of a long and bloody war, with the hope of restoration of privileges under a British crown, no. Give them the glorious object of an entire independence, and it will breathe a new life within them. Read this declaration at the head of the army, and every sword will be drawn. Publish it from the pulpit, and religion will approve it, and the love of religious liberty will cling around it. Send it to the public halls and proclaim it there. And let them see those whose brothers and sisters and brothers and sons died on Bunker Hill and in the cities of Lexington and Concord. And the very walls will cry out for support. Sir, I know the uncertainty of human affairs, but I see clearly through this day's business. You and I may indeed rue it. We may not live to see this declaration be made good. And we may die. Die colonists, die slaves, we may die. We may die on the scaffold. But let it be so. Let it be so. If it be the pleasure of my country that my poor offering of my life shall be made to grant freedom for my country, whatever hour that may come, then let it be. But while I do live, let me have a country, or the hope of a country, or of that, a free country. Now be whatever may be our fate, be assured that this declaration will stand. It may cost treasure and it may cost blood, but it will stand and it will richly compensate for both. Through the thick gloom of the present, I see the gloriousness of the sun in heaven, and the future will be as bright. And we make this a glorious and an immortal day. When we are in our graves, our children will honor it. They will celebrate it with thanksgiving, with festivities, with bonfires, with illuminations. And on our annual return, they will shed tears of joy and gratitude. Sir, before God, I believe the hour has come. My judgment approves this measure, and my whole heart is in it. And all that I have, and all that I am, and all that I hope for in this life, I am now ready to stake my life upon it. It is my living sentiment. And I leave off as I began. That live or die, survive or perish, I am for the declaration. It is my living sentiment, and by the blessing of God, it will be my dying sentiment. Gentlemen, independence now, and independence forever! On Tuesday, July 2nd, we would now come forward, and every colony would make a vote. New Hampshire? Yes. Rhode Island? Yes. Massachusetts? Massachusetts votes yes. New Hampshire? New York? New York abstains. Connecticut? Connecticut votes yes. New Jersey? Yes. Pennsylvania? Yes. Delaware? Yes. Vermont? Yes. Excuse me, Virginia? Yes. Maryland? Yes. North Carolina? Yes. South Carolina? Yes. Georgia? Yes. And with that unanimous vote, the resolution was passed. And on the 4th of July of 1776, John Hancock, the President of the Second Continental Congress, stood now before us delegates, and he began to read, "When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the cause which impel them to the separation. Gentlemen, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their powers from the consent of the governed. And that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it. And he concluded, "We therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, and General Congress this day assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do in the name and by the authority of the good people of these colonies solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are free and independent states, and that they are to be absolved from all allegiance of the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved. And with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor." May we never in America forget the sacrifices that are made for our freedom. May we never forget those that died on foreign battlefields, or those that have died in America, doing everything they can to protect these United States. And never forget how a group of 56 men gave up their lives to take on the most powerful nation in the world at that time, so that we have one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I thank you.
So I've been hearing about this for months and never got to see it. All I can say is I'm glad it was at the end and not the beginning, so I had to follow that. That was just absolutely incredible. I've never seen anything like it. The Frank B. Bartlett Post 7 Auxiliary Unit 7 would like to thank all of you for joining us today to pay tribute and honor our veterans and our veterans organization. Remember to never forget 9/11. Honor those who serve by thanking a veteran and keeping them in your prayers, and keeping all POWs and MIAs in your prayers. God bless America. And God bless all you all for serving. And I think now that they're wanting you to partake in refreshments afterwards. And I know later on this afternoon in Jawbone Park, there are Festival Fridays, which they're holding weekly between 5 and 8. We encourage you to attend and participate in the community event. And Dr. Michael George will be there with an encore presentation if you'd like to see that again.
Thank you. I have just a couple of announcements. The first one being on the first and third Thursday of every month at 10 o'clock in the morning, we have a meeting that's sponsored by the VA here for any veterans or any individuals that are suffering from PTSD. It's the first and third Thursday of every month, 10 o'clock in the morning. So if you know anybody out there that really needs to be involved in this group, please let them know the times so that they might come to these meetings. The other thing is we have election coming up. And I'd like to remind all of you, as part of our campaign, to get out to vote. If we don't vote, then we don't have a voice. Thank you.